when I saw so many poor youths who I believe were mobilized were there at ICC celebrating politicians. But that clearly tells you that people don't have jobs, and that's why you are seeing them there. They are not busy, they have all the time to go there and clap for a politician, and that leaves us at an angle where we know that Kenya is in crisis. Now, when I go to whatever events that happened today, that was demonstrations at the church, and also Ruto contributing the same amount of money in another church. If you ask me, Ruto is playing a cunning game, but unfortunately, he doesn't understand that the language of Kenyans have changed. You know, a hungry dog is an angry dog. So Kenyans have reached this level where they are angry dogs and they are very hungry at the same time. So what does this tell us? I think it's high time politicians sit down. They should stop using the media to push an agenda that is not there. They should not use some few people, because what the media does, they question like 4 or 5 people, or they take a crowd of 100 people and they highlight that now Kenyans are saying this about this particular matter. And they are forgetting that right now there is social media. People are streamlining these things on TikTok, people are streamlining these things on X, and people have this information. So dividing somebody's attention becomes so difficult on a certain matter. So it has come to my notice that the media is also being misused. I don't know if it's by government official or they themselves decided to do otherwise. But to be honest, I think there is a problem, and I think issues. It is high time politicians sit down and listen to Kenyans, because if this government is not careful, Kenyans will form a parallel government. And it's coming slowly. If you see, Kenyans have made their courts on TikTok, and they can even go and get justice by themselves. It's not a laughing matter. If you see somebody coming up with a police station and now saying that he's there to solve people's problems, and for government to go for that person, it means that people are going there to look for certain issues or to solve certain issues. That tells you we are not safe as Kenyans. Lastly, I will talk about abductions. We have a situation where people have been lost for over 6 months. Now, that questions our security as Kenyans. We are not safe anymore. We are not safe in the hands of the government. So why should I be paying taxes to a government that cannot protect me? So all these issues, Hillary, needs to be addressed, and I think it's high time politicians sit down and talk vividly about these issues affecting Kenyans. Otherwise, I see a lot of Mandamanos in the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You said there are so many things that is happening across, and yeah, and these things should be addressed. And who to address these things? These are the questions that you're asking. And you've said that the media is being used. That is very true, and that's why actually many people run to these social medias. And we want to say that coming next, any election that is gonna come, the election is being controlled by the media. So the mainstream houses, because they don't handle what you want them to handle, and that's why we're here with this kind of media platform to give us, to our views, to give the direction what you need to do. And they need to know that. I want to assure you that when you look at the world today, the elections is being controlled by the media. Actually, not many houses stream. Not many houses like maybe in Kenya we know Citizen, KTN, and everything. This time is totally different. Otherwise, thank you so much, Grace, for that, and we really appreciate you for joining. And those who are joining, thank you so much. Welcome. This is Pressure Point Edition. We are talking about political realignment that is happening in our country, Kenya. We've seen MOU is being signed the other day. We are seeing people are meeting and they're trying to come together to see what is the way forward. What is our take? Yes, thank you so much. I see you, Fabish. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Hilary, and thanks again for giving us this chance to be able to air the views and what is going around our country. And I think I will pick from where you left that what is the way forward. First, I think this is now the right time that we should stop just being, a commentary of on the activities and start, talking on what we can do. And I'm very happy because even as they have been, doing their things and reorganizing and organizing, even as on our part, it is not that we are vulnerable. I'm very much happy today that I see even Ruben Kigame here. There are a lot of activities that have been going around, and I want to announce here that I'm private to the information. We have leaders. It is not that we have deficiency of leaders in our country. The problem is that sometimes we think that, we are inferior. And when we talked about leader, we say, oh, this leader, maybe doesn't have following. He doesn't have, political mass. But even these leaders that we have today, we are the people that crop them and give them, the power that they're holding today. And we still have the capability to raise other leaders who have integrity, who are accountable, and also give them platform and build them. So now, this is a way forward that we have been discussing. We have presidential aspirants new that we need to put them together and make sure that we can come with our formation. We have Ruben Kigame here, that is aspiring. We have Omtata Okia. We have Professor Fred Ogola, who is an economist, and we have Justice Maraga. We have been having consultation. We have reached to Ruben Kigame, and we want to thank him for being supportive and always available. We have also reached to Professor Ogola. We have also reached to Okia Omtata, and we are waiting also to get connection with Justice Maraga, so that on 28th this month, we are meeting all the aspirants, whether you are aspiring to be a governor, a senator, a member of parliament, as long as you are not connected or aligned to the other formation. Then we need all the leaders that are aspiring to be leaders, from presidential to the MCA. We meet at Mfangano. Then now we can be able to work, to see how we can work, how we can build a pact, and now how we can work together, irrespective of our different in political formations or even the movements. So it is very much possible. So I think 28th of this month, we should also make a big day now for Kenyans that we are sending a statement. These leaders that we are talking, they are just among the first people. And we know that even going forward, we will have even more emerging. And I want to believe that they have what it takes, to steer us, because it is about collective will of the people. Because if we keep on recycling these old leaders and always we keeping them to be the agenda, that, when we have a meeting like this and we have to discuss what did Raila did, what did Ruto do this, Wamunyoro, these people that we are mentioning, they are the architects of our problems. And any time that we are giving them platform and our airtime and our time talking about them, we are killing ourselves. So I think we should now change the route and now start addressing, our solutions and creating our pathways. So I think in due course, when Ruben will come here, you will all have a chance also to hear the plan that they have. And as you are, inviting, I want to appreciate Hillary. This is a good platform that at least now we need now to stop being just, here talking and commenting on these leaders that have failed us. There is no way that these leaders are going to change this country, because it is their decision. It is their choices that they have made not to help us. It is their decision they have made with their full consciousness, to ignore our plights and our problems. It is not that they are living in mass. They are living with us. They know all these problems. Like, if you see a leader that is living in a country where we have 70% of unemployment, and yet is using 40 million in a week. 40 million, Hillary, that is about, is it 400,000 US dollar? They're about 400,000 US dollar to use in a week. When we have hospitals that does not have drugs, when we have children in Baringo that are studying under the trees, and yet he chose to be blind, and pretend that he don't see all these issues. And these leaders around him, that they are saying they are building unity. The problem of our country is not about unity. We don't have a problem with unity. We are all in these spaces speaking the same language and in agreement. I don't know your tribe, Hillary. I don't know the tribe of Ronyo. I don't know the tribe of Redemptor, Dr. Milton. So the problem was not that we are not united in this country. The problem is economy of our country. And now they chose to ignore that part and always telling us about the unity. The unity that they are talking is unity to feed their ego, to satisfy them, and to give them platform to continue looting. We have to stop that. Now we have to steer away and show them. My sister here, Olwande, talk about maybe very soon Kenyans might decide to come with an alternative government. And I want to tell you that it is not even soon. It is something down now that is in place, that we are now going to provide alternative government going forward. And even as you are talking, yes, maybe going forward, we will, try to see on a way that we are going to stop this government from oppressing us. One way is, why should we continue paying our taxes and yet we are not getting the services? Because the government is not there to do business. Now, we are buying everything from the government. You go to hospital, you pay. You take your child to school, you pay. You go to take a ID card, you pay. So literally, you are buying every service. So if that is the case, then what is the purpose of paying tax? Why should you be deducted when you are working, I don't know, pay as you earn, and yet every service that you require from this government, you are paying? If it is like that, let this government open the services. There is no need to have a monopoly. If it is SHA, now it should compete with other, health, insurance companies, because there is no need for us for them to hoodwink us, telling us that, it is about us, that it is us that we are funding. And yet when you go to hospital, you still pay for the same services that they have taxed you to do it. So we need now to concentrate on the solutions. And anytime, Hillary, that at least we are here, I think we should stop now commenting on them, and we always be working to look for solutions. We need every leader that you're aspiring, because I know, even Hillary, you can be a good leader. Please, let us now volunteer ourselves. Let us come together. Let's join our formation together. And now we show these leaders that it is a time that we need to deplatform them and tell them enough is enough. Whatever they have stolen, now it is enough for them. I want to commend what happened today in Kisii Stadium. My brothers, you did the Lord's work. May God reward you. And I tell you, Guzi, today you have sent a shockwave statement that at least, it has sent a very clear message to all these leaders. It was not expected, but, it just happened. What happened again today, Palero Isambu? You could see the hunger, the rage in the youths. And William Ruto, the other time in June, when he came here, we told him that you are a tone-deaf president. And he was disputing. You don't listen to our problems. Now, we are sending a message, 20 million. And yet we have, a lot of people that are unemployed. And he's still going to do the same thing. That is to tell us mutadu. So this arrogancy of these leaders, we should stop patronizing them. We should stop massaging their ego. And now it is a way. I think even 2027 is far. We need to come together, have this formation, and then now we can decide that even we can even have that change before even 2027. Thank you so much, Ilan.
Thank you so much for being sure that. And you say that it is high time for us to come on board. One thing that when you come back, you let us know. But I see Ruben Kagame is here. I know I'm getting hold of some few people to come in. Which way you're gonna use to bring all these people together to merge across the country or where you go? Redemptor, Dr. Milton, I see you. Redemptor, what is your take about this political realignment that we're seeing at the moment? It's too early, or it is the right time now to Gen Zs to even come out also and to make sure that they are now running wild. Yeah.
Asante sana, Hillary, and thank you for the space and for the mic. Greetings to all the Kenyans, belatedly happy Women's Day. Celebrating all the women who are speaking out about what is affecting them. I would say the realignments started last Sunday. Some churches are political tools. They are, they provide voters. They provide what is it called, crowds, for you to go and address yourself and address what is affecting you. So that was the first mobilization. So we saw it go to a church. Of course, also to get maybe spiritual connection, whatever the spirituality was going on there. The president of Kenya makes his own rules. He doesn't even follow the rules of the Bible. He makes them as he goes, because the Bible says when you give with your right hand, the left hand should not know what you are doing. So I think a lot of the Christians who wanted to go to the church and ask, this then can't be Sadaka. Sadaka is very personal, it's very spiritual. And just to finish on that political realignment, there's a statement here which is purported to have come from the president today, and it says, Satan has become very arrogant in Kenya. There's a big controversy in our nation about giving in our churches and about building sanctuaries. I want to say this as the president, that in this nation we will know God. We are going to build God's churches, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against Kenya. Amen, amen. Those who are against the building of sanctuaries will fail because they will not overcome us. And the big question I ask is, who are you addressing? Because if it is you're addressing Christians, this is not how to address Christians. If you are addressing non-Christians, why do they know what your business in church is? So that's the first I say, because a lot of people did the clip of where he said public servants cannot give. But men of God, I am a Christian. So if we are going by the rules of Christianity, then that was already a blunder. You just went and gave publicly. We also reminded of the Pharisees. When they pray, they stand up and they say, look at these sinners. Satan has taken hold of you. Ashindwe pepo mbaya. They think we'll not build churches. True that. A church is not a building. What's the need of a building when people are starving? So even seeing how that crowd was behaving was very indicative of Kenyans, how they just clap at money. And so I finished that realignment right there. I was born in the African Inland Church. That's where I was told Indio Kanisa. And the African Inland Church had a lot of leeway during Moi days because he was also an AIC guy. And so I've seen the AIC pastor in Eldoret also receive 20,000 shillings. So now we are seeing it either coming to the mainstream church again or it being very symbolic, that we are going back to the 90s, we are going back to the 80s, and we will do what we did in the 80s, which is very controversial. Now, somebody has talked about media, and this is what I have to say. Something happened in Gusii, in Kisii, and the mainstream media is running with the clips of the violence, which is very unfortunate. Dr. Milton is a storyteller, is a media practitioner, is a legal practitioner, and maybe can tell us, if we were to track this story and tell this story, what do you think started first? Do you think it was the people dancing and chanting that started first? And then someone started throwing chairs so that we now get another narrative? When your wife has put so much salt in the soup and your mother is coming and you don't want your mother to start saying your wife cannot cook. This is traditional talk. By the way, modern people, feminists, don't come for me. You'll take the whole packet of salt and pour it in the soup so that ilikuwa bahati mbaya, ni mimi nimefanya. So I think that story that already tells you that narratives are going to be spun. And yes, my sympathy for people who may have been hurt in that situation, and all those broken chairs, maybe there's another 20 million somewhere those ones are replaceable, but hurting people is not. So I'm just saying this to say that there was a reaction to the realignment. And the first realignment, of course, was with the church to say, church, we're very close to God, we are God's anointed ones. And I have reposted one of the clips where that church had actually a whole praying and lifting of hands, and the picture of the president that God had chosen was playing. So the question I asked these men of God is, so your picture, where did Raila come in? And, I mean, it makes God look like a liar when you say this is God's anointed one, and then 2 years later, no, God anointed this one and this one also. I think God has squeezed on. The last one I'll say, I'm usually affected by what is going on. I'll tell Fabish, I've heard you talking about how the alignments and what people should do. And this is what I'll say about people who hold spaces, hold conversations, write articles. It's like digging a dam and where water is put. So every time people speak, they put water in that dam. Every time people have anything to say, every Sunday that Hillary Gondi holds conversations, last Sunday was talking to the student leaders, maji inawekwa kwa hiyo dam, mvua inakuja inaweka maji. So one day the banks of that dam might break if it overflows. And so a lot of us want to sit and say, when that water breaks its banks, itaenda hii mkondo. So you cannot predict. And I think a lot of analysts, political analysts, are really lost. They do not know how to hold this conversation because they are used to the same old, same old. My last one, allow me to make my submissions in case I have to give other people the opportunity. My last one is a bit sentimental, and some of you might refuse to relate with it. But as a storyteller, story gatherer, I have watched a movie about freedom fighters in America. We like to talk about Mau Mau. I've watched a movie called Harriet, and I'm thinking a lot of talks that we can't keep talking about these people. And I ask myself, what was the common conversation by cotton pickers? They talked about their masters. A few wanted freedom so bad, but they didn't know who to trust with the freedom. So I think sometimes when people really want freedom, they whisper, sometimes they shout, depending on where you're born, where you are. And I feel like we got political liberation. That's what our historians keep telling us. But I don't think it's the citizens who got the political liberation. I think it's the politicians who got the political liberation. And what did they do? Then they made slaves out of us. We currently are slaves to we have slave owners. If you belong to this political party, that's your master. If you belong to this, and a lot of young people, I think, who are born into that slavery. In June, we saw them saying, "You guys, what kind of contract do you have?" Remember when they were abolishing the freedom, the slavery, there were contracts that had to be signed. Some people signed, others refused to sign. And the worst part about this conversation, because some people will think I'm exaggerating, is a slave owner trying to explain how a slave should feel about oppression, about the lack, the what is going on with their lives. And it is the slave owners of this political bondage that we've been in who stand on podiums and tell us what the slaves are feeling. The slaves are okay. And I'm challenging you when you listen to this conversation and we come here and argue about she working, SHA not working, the money 1.3 trillion withdrawn from this. It sounds like the conversations those slave owners would have as they wore their fine suits, and the cotton pickers always depicted wearing ragged clothes, smelly people. They would hear all these conversations about what, but they were voiceless. And the assumption of our politicians that the generation that feels that they've been born into slavery, because they've told us what's wrong with you people. How could you allow this to go on for so long? And I think maybe I am the first person to call it political slavery, because people get very comfortable with it. It's their own, they belong, they wear a tag on their neck, like to show who they belong to. Those are the t-shirts people wear. Those are the chants that people do. Yesterday we saw people come to the streets, and then we saw other people come to the streets later when you are Mejituma, and then you have saying these youth, the Satan doesn't want us to build. What has Satan to do with our constitution? Please, somebody, lawyer in the house, tell me where in our constitution we have to talk about Satan. Tell me where in the constitution we have to talk about building the house of God. So, inspired by the movie that I watched this afternoon, I finished by saying that when the slave owners got in trouble, they couldn't keep their farms. One woman is told by the son, we cannot keep these slaves anymore. We have to sell some of them to pay our debts. And the person says, our status is measured by the Negroes we own. Numbers that people boast about, they come to the table and say, I have 10 slaves, I have 50 slaves, I have 1,000 slaves. And I'm going to annoy a lot of people with this submission, because honestly, it is time for emancipation from political slavery. We have been slaves to this. 30 years is a long time to believe in something or someone or an ideology that never pans out. It never produces any fruit. So, Hillary, with that long submission, I'll say this dam of yours will keep pouring water. People will come and saying, what's the need of pouring water here every Sunday? Is that there's a need for a reservoir for people to come and vent and express and give us facts about what's going on in Kenya. And the politicians, I'll be honest with you, they're afraid of losing their slaves. Thank you. That's my submission for the evening.
Thank you so much, Demta. Yes, last week we were hosting student leaders, and there's so many things that is going on. The university has been closed. The model, the funding model is not working, and there's a lot of things. And thank you so much, Demta, for that. And we really, really see what is happening, and the people will talk negative about us, but will not keep mum. We'll keep this conversation, and that's why we are consistent. Every Sunday we're here to make the whole week we do what we can do, but Sunday we come here, we share the ideas, we come on board, and we see what we can do. So the people who are talking, let them continue to do that. We are not afraid of them. We don't care what they're saying, but we know what we want. Madani, I see you from Sudan. Milton, do you want to go? How are you doing today, bro?
I am fine, thank you. Maybe I can go in about 5 minutes
All
so
right.
somebody can come in between.
No worries. No worries. Thank you, sir. Okay, Chacha, I see your hand up.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Redemptor, you don't have to apologize for using the word slaves. I think in a primordial society where kinships worked, one will say that we owe allegiance to our traditional kinships. Where, for example, if you had a king, then you will say our king speaks on our behalf, and therefore we submit to that king. But in a modern republic, we do not expect that. However, the truth of the matter is that is the reality on the ground. Whether we use the word slave or stalwarts or supporters, I think it's pretty much just splitting the semantics of the same hair. I must say that it's in the interest of the politicians, especially when it dawned on them that the Gen Z movement was transcending tribal affiliation. They had to go and rekindle that tribal affiliation or ethnic affiliation to remind them who they are. Because that was going to deny them a huge support, which they have always rallied on to actually come to the bargaining table to bargain for positions and resources for themselves, albeit pretending to be actually representing or bargaining on behalf of the community. And unfortunately, most of us have fallen victim, even those who have gone to school. We thought that, in fact, the overwhelming consensus among political scientists is that education is likely to actually enable people to transcend those ethnic affiliations, ethnic identities, and create a cohesive society. But in our case, it seems not to have really worked. And I think somebody needs to do a research why this is not really happening in the case of Kenya. Permit me to say this, and there is an overwhelming evidence that ethnic identities, to a certain degree, they are not fixed. They are constructed by the elites. ostensibly so that they can actually remain in power. And now we have seen the conversation and the alliances being created. They're not creating or forging alliances on the basis of the ideology or the vision they have for the country, but sort of to say, I'm putting all this. I have these slaves. If I may use redemptors, allow me to borrow your term. I have these slaves I'm bringing to the table. How many slaves do you have? And how do we share the spoils on their behalf? Unfortunately, we see people who Chinua Achebe will call in a man of the people dead from the neck up, ululating and celebrating when they are the ones who are actually on the chopping board. So it's the unfortunate reality, but that's where we are. However, I like the fact that this conversation is going on, but I want to submit that even the factions, whether you're looking at Ruto, Raila, Gachagua, and the likes, these are ethnic honchos that without ethnicity they wouldn't be there, they wouldn't be where they are today. I can tell you for a fact, and if there was no ethnicity, maybe the president will be, the current president of Kenya will be somebody who is a CEO of a bank somewhere. But given that now ethnicity has really become the rallying call, that people actually ride on to get support, it has created these demigods at the ethnic level who are now seen to be prophets, economists, scholars. They are everything apart from God, And now that you mentioned about the church, it's rather unfortunate that we are talking about the church and God as if God is in the God comes to queue to make to elect a leader. We normally used to be told that leaders are chosen by God, but I don't know how God will have chosen Hitler, for example. I mean, unless now you can tell me from a theological perspective why we'll have such leaders. But remember, over time, the question of God and church and leadership has evolved. There is a time even kings were seen as God, and thereafter they were seen as representative of gods. Later on, now they are chosen by God. I think in societies that are to a certain degree not religious, they're doing far much better, especially when they're choosing people on the basis of what they can actually provide or do, as opposed to what affiliations, religious affiliations they hold. And I hope Kenyans will actually come transcend these ethnic divisions and come together, have the same vision like we did have around 2002, because the Kenyans are very, very hopeful to have somebody who will literally forge a new narrative for this country and provide opportunities for young people and more and livelihoods for more Kenyans, because livelihoods is what really makes people, lack of livelihoods is what really makes people, in my opinion, have enough time to go and start celebrating political ethnic honchos in the name of politicians. But let's continue having this discussion and having more people who are going to give us more insights and educate us more. But this candle should not dim even for a second. Thank you very much, Island.
Thank you so much, Chacha, for that, and we really appreciate your conversation. KOT, I see you. Let me go to Madani. Madani is coming from Sudan. Hey, my brother, how are you doing? How is South Sudan?
Thank you, Larry. How are you, my brother?
Good.
Greeting to everybody sitting over here, our brothers and sisters from Kenya. I'm sad and good and feeling all the emotions, as you know, and I appreciate the invite. As we all know, this platform provide a voice for us Africans to speak, not just only about Kenya or Uganda, but also Sudan and other free countries in Africa that wanted to speak and share their um, ongoing struggle. And for that, I appreciate it, Brother Hillary. And what's going on in Sudan, you all know, it's absolutely devastating. Where just not me talking, the recent reports coming in from Senate on Foreign Relations in the American Congress stated that RSF is committing genocide in our country. And before I go into this real quick and speak about it, I'm going to take one topic and wait my turn and take the second topic and speak about it and how, what's going on and why am I here today talking to all of you as respected, distinguished people, you know. and individuals. The economic uh, disparities that you have in your country, basically, um, it's one of the things that we all are African are suffering from it. But how do we deal with it? We deal with it as economists says, through strengthening our economy and have a diversified economy where we can all prosper. And allow me to ask you, did William Ruto did the same thing for Kenyans? I would definitely say no. William Ruto, in the part that I'm going to be talking to you about it, decided to join forces with what we call in Sudan the evil state, which is UAE, Abu Dhabi. And in this in the past 22 months of the war in Sudan, which was orchestrated, as we know, and we have evidence that we have seen and um, authenticated, reports coming from the United Nations and decisions makers in the international community put the blame on UAE as the one who generated the war through proxy by supporting RSF, which is a militia that you all know about it. So William Ruto decided to in his quest to conquer, and allow me to say, I know I'm an outsider, but I'm a person who believe in justice and believe in human rights and believe that his country should be moving forward with dignity, where I don't have to pay for medicine, as you said, and I don't have to pay for the services that the government should be providing. So, in order for him to do that, he excuse me, decided to shake hands with the devil and signed a deal where UAE will pay him um, $1.5 billion, to uh, work on the economic, I would say, challenges that we all have seen in Kenya, but at what cost? Yes, you can definitely go and do that, but at what cost? The cause is basically to block and these are authenticated information, my dear brothers and sisters. I'm not bringing these information or making any claims, but you can hit the internet and look at it and find it from these authenticated sources. And 2 weeks ago, you had William Ruto basically um, hosting and facilitating a conference for the genocidal, as I said earlier, RSF, to dismantle the Sudanese government and dismantle the Sudanese uh, authority over there, as we can all see. And that is in itself is considered a violation of international laws. When we look into at least just the United Nations law, Article 2, Provision 4, mingling in other countries' own business, and that's absolutely give the Sudanese country the right to attack, to mingle, not attack in a way that declare war. No, but to go ahead and uh, retaliate in the same way by mingling in Kenya's own internal affairs. You're not going to like that, and we definitely don't like it, especially when we see the purpose of actual removing in a demographic change the Sudanese people from their own land and giving it to the RSF. As in the 22 months we have seen that the fighters are moving with their families. But thank God the Sudanese army was able to come back and move forward. And right now we're declaring some of the areas are basically free. I don't want it to expand anymore, but I see our brother Milton over here and Robin Kigami as well, very predominant people over here. And I definitely would like to see if you guys can definitely share this, speak about it, as we mean no harm to nobody in Kenya or in Zimbabwe or in Ethiopia, but what's happening in Sudan, briefly, guys, and I mean it. It is not just anything to say to get public opinion. Read about it. Um, the international violations of human rights laws in Sudan. Number one, they are raping our women for no reason. They are torturing our men for no reason. They are killing our children for no reason. Those the RSF backed by UAE. They are even when we say the rules of engagement in the international community, my brothers and sisters, when you have hostages, POWs, all the international laws asks you to hold them in peace. No, they are shooting them, and they are sadly taking videos.
Mm.
Yes, taking videos and basically making it uh, um, as an absolutely horrific crime for people to see, but they don't know that these videos are going to haunt them later on. Not only that, guys, they are intentionally destroying the infrastructure in Sudan. Now, I have give you a little bit of information about what's going on, and I thank you for the time and the space, my brother Hillary.
Thank you so much, Madani, and for sharing with us with that.
Yep,
And I know, yeah, we will do that. We will soon hosting the Sudanese people to tell us more about that. And thank you so much for coming our space. That's why we gave you that time. But we'll do that as way we did in Uganda when Besigye was arrested. We're gonna address that. Thank you so much. KOT, welcome. How are you doing, bro? All right, New Kenya. Go ahead. KOT, I think he's still. I think I saw him on the road. Maybe he has not settled yet. New Kenya, what are you doing? What do you think about this political realignment?
I'm doing good,
I'm
Hilary. How
well.
are you? Oh, Hilary, me talking about the political realignment. These people will always realign themselves. And as always, I used to say, when we were growing up, there is a game that we used to play at home. And in our language, we call it Picha Jwala, whereby people line up. Then if you are 11 people, you are saying that you go this side, you go this side, you go this side. So we may end up that there are 5 people this side, 5 people this side. Why am I saying so? You find that the current politicians that we have, they cycle themselves. And at time it is like they decide that this time round, you can be in the opposition, so we can be in the government. Because if you see what happened in 2022, this thing is like it has changed. Now it is Ruto, it is now Ruto and Raila, and then it is now Gashago and all those people. So to me, I just see that like these people, they know what they play with us. Because today you see what Gashago is telling you, what is happening. And it is not that Gashago is telling us because now maybe he mean it. He's now just telling us that because he's not on the other side. So to me, I just see that these people have been just playing us every now and then, and they will realign themselves. Now, it is our duty as the people who are being led by rogue leaders to identify that the kind of leaders that we have given the mandate to lead us, honestly, we'll never see where we want to be. Take a good example. You know, when you are a leader, you must lead with an example, and you must lead with a real thing. If I can recollect the languages and what Ruto has been said ever since he came into power, leave alone the history, I've never seen this person actualizing his statement. The other time, if you want to see that we are dealing with sick leaders, there's a time I used to say that if there are people who need vaccination, I think our leaders need to be vaccinated. Because it is last Sunday that the president donated some millions in the church. Then today he's seeing that the public there is discomfort with the public concerning what he did. Today the president is somewhere telling us that people who are against that, nobody is against that. The issue is that whatever you are giving to the church, nobody has denied that they're giving to the church, because the congregate also give to the church. But there are people who are in need. The hospital, there are people in hospital. There are schools that the CBC need good infrastructure. Now, when you are giving 20 million to a single church, yet your own region, your own place, the Rift Valley, we still have so many schools where people still go to school, where children study under the tree. honestly, you tell me to believe that that leader is all right? I don't believe so. So whenever you are listen, but I don't listen to him because I've never seen any mature statement coming from him that I can connect. Because if you see what Ruto had been saying about Raila and what Raila has been saying about Ruto, and here they come now, they're telling us their unity. Kenyans are not divided. They're the people dividing Kenyans. Because when you take tax, there is no tax of a certain community. There is no tax of a certain, we are united. The problem we have in our country is our leaders. The leaders don't have our problem at heart. They don't want to champion for the solution. They don't want to have a solution for our problem. They are there to feed themselves. If you see the MOU, because this is, I think, the second MOU between Ruto and Raila, there was another one of the reconstitution of the IEBC. There were some writings there. They are going to implement this. They are going to implement this during that the Gen Z. How many did they do? Nothing. In fact, I just after pressure for the reconstitution of IEBC is when they wake. Oh, these people have remembered what we said in Bomas of Kenya. Now is when they do it. Again, yesterday, it's the same KICC. They're now coming with some 10 points they want to actualize. Is it true? I believe it is not true. These people are just containing us. So the Ruto and Raila realignment, to me, I don't see it as something that can bear fruit. I think the realignment that we are people who need to determine the kind of leadership that we need. It is high time we determine. Let these people don't arrange us. Wasitupange, let us tuwapanga. Because this one, remember, they make me, I think in the last week or this week, there was a headline about the IBC, the chairman. And the names that I saw are so familiar and they're more related with these politicians. And I question myself, if you want to put somebody like Charles Nyachai to be an IBC chairman, do you think we'll have a good result? Because this is a person who knows the system, how the system works. And there's this woman who is Nyamadi, Anne Nyamadi. Anne Nyamadi has been the Register of Judiciary for quite some time. In fact, by the time she was taken out, it was under investigation of mismanagement of other things. Then there's this lady of which I think she was a man of the manager of this parastatal. And I asked myself, you want to tell me that we don't have other people who can manage the IBC? And I realized that the system we have now is so careful to protect themselves and realizing that if we don't go our way, these people will outsmart us. If we finish with the issue of church, when I was growing up, I was told that church is a place of worship and church was a place of protection. And even if you can remember very well that if there is any calamity, the place where people run to is always the church. Now, I ask myself that, is it that God is not there no more? Or people have just treat religion as in a casual way, whereby somebody can just come, because people used to give it the church. Even in the Bible, people used to give in the church. But the church was there to help the needy. And the church was there for the needy, the widower, and all those people. It is the role of the church then. I don't know now. Because when I was growing up, I used to be a member of Catholic. And Catholic, we used to give, you find that it was another day, you were being given some eggs, some disease, and these things were being taken to the church. It was on Sunday. Thereafter, there are people who are being given all these things back. So in short, the church was there for the poor and the needy, people who need help. But the one we have today, it is how do you call it? It is a prosperity. I think it is a gospel. Every pastor wants to be rich, and every pastor wants to run the mission as much as he can. So the only prayer I have to my fellow Kenyans as large as we continue, let us forge ahead. Let us don't try to analyze all these politicians that are trying to emerge. Oh, so and so is all this big, so and so, because the idea of trying to analyze them, they get advantage, because at the end of the day, we will rule out that this is not good. Because the leader that you are saying, trying to make that we need a popular, who is making the leader popular? It is me and you who can make that leader to be heard on the ground, with my grandmother and my mom on the ground. So they are leaders which we can. We are not short of leaders. We have leaders. The problem that we don't give them time so that they can lead us and give us the best that we need as a country. The time we will realize that we can empower other leaders so that we can have the leaders that we need, that is the time we will have the best and the good leaders. As I finish, let us forget about the Ruto and Raila. They will create dramas every now and then. The more we focus too much on them, the more we lose focus on what we need. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Mkenya. And I really appreciate that you say that tusipojipanga watatupanga. So that's the word. Actually, thank you so much for that submission. Dr. Milton, go ahead. I see Honorable Ruben Kigame KOT. We go in that order. Oh, Marco Diamba, I see you, but don't worry. Dr. Milton, are you in a position now?
Yes, I want to appreciate. Thank you, Hillary, for the mic. I I have had a very difficult time. Difficult because seeing the realignment of the old order of politics and the same players now regrouping has been very disturbing to me. But I think I got inspired by what happened in Kisii today, because that's what really I was hoping that the message would be clear. Um, I was very encouraged by what happened in Roysambu. And coming to this space, I have been very, very inspired to listen to Fabish and Redemptor and everybody that has spoken, because this is exactly what we need to do. We must be able to now come out and put a unified front as the people and say, now you are on the same corner and we are going to determine our own future as a people. We do not need, and I like what the previous speaker has said, Mkenya, in saying, lazima tujipange. They are mobilizing. We must now come out. Honorable Kigame, everybody that now means Kenya well for Kenya, we must be able to come out and say, hey, now we are coming together, because that is what they are doing. They are not unifying Kenyans. They are doing it for themselves. Their slaves must now be able to get inspiration and say it is the slaves. This is not a shamba la wanyama any more situation where it is wanyama waliosawa kuliko wengine who tell us. Sasa wanyama wote lazima waamke waseme tunasimama against huyu ndovu ambaye ametuumiza miaka hii yote. Na tunahimiza ya kwamba Wakenya wote mashinani sasa wamejua ya kwamba adui si mwingine, adui ni wao wenyewe kukosa kusimama dhidi ya dhuluma ambazo zinaletwa kwa Wakenya, dhidi ya Wakenya kutoka kwa wanasiasa ambao wamekuwa pale. Kwa hivyo mimi sitaki kusema mengi, mimi nataka kusubiri mstakabali ambao tutakuja pamoja tuseme tarehe 28 vile ambavyo nimesikia, tulete watu wote pamoja sasa, wote ambao wanasema huu ndio mwisho wa utapeli huu. This puts an end to the arrogance that we are seeing, and it must never be allowed to survive and last beyond it has. And we must stop these people. We must stop talking about them and start talking against them and saying what you did is not for us. It is our time to reclaim our country. It could never have been clearer. The target could not have been more distinctively identifiable. Fellow Kenyans, this is the time to mobilize. We must deplatform these people. They must not be given an opportunity, but we must now begin our emancipation by making sure that the voices like we have on this platform are moving away from here and going to the ground, going to the villages, going to the churches at the local level and saying that we must now be able to turn and change the trajectory of our country And as I conclude, because I don't want to speak a lot, because I'm getting a lot of thoughts running through my mind at the same time. Please, I am offering and I am saying, let us begin to translate. Hillary, let us begin now to translate these messages that we have on these spaces. Can we get them? Mkenya, we have had a conversation before. Redemptor, Honorable Kigame, I am looking forward to us breaking down these messages into consumable materials in form of voice notes that we can send to our people in the villages, that can be played, simple messages and placards that we can distribute in churches, that we can distribute at the market centers and everywhere, where we are now saying, hawa ndo maadui, and I am willing to engage. Mkenya, you have the capacity. Honorable Kigame, you do. Ronyo, Redemptor, let us go to mashinani and start speaking to people. Our people in Kitui, pale kwa Tingatinga, Kisiagi, we start talking to people. Pale wanauza ng'ombe, we start talking to people where they are butter trading in Miruka and Ringa in Homa Bay, where we tell our people that now, on the 28th, the real movement of the Kenyan people is going to happen. And let us begin to caucus outside of X between today and next Sunday. Honorable Kigame, Fabish, you have been very articulate. KOT Sonko, let us begin to plan and let them not scare us with the NCIC that they are controlling, by telling us that when we gather to plan about the future of our country, we are committing a crime. But when they are planning how to continue oppressing us and ruling and stealing our taxes, they even use utilities and public institutions and organizations that we have created for ourselves. But it is not a crime for them to plan how they are going to continue oppressing us. But they tell us that we cannot speak like we are doing now, because they are going to come up with trumped up charges. It is enough. Please, good people, let us move in the direction that Fabish told us, in the direction that Redemptor has told us, in the direction that Mukenya has talked about. That is the only way we can stop talking about them and start acting against them. I'm sorry for being so loud and so all over the place, but it is because this is the only opportunity that we have to emancipate ourselves and reclaim our country and forge a united future where William Ruto and every other member of this regime that has messed our country will not leave office and run out of the country safely, or continue walking and talking to us from Ishaweri or Wamunyoro or wherever it is. And I am speaking like that symbolically. I am saying, when we take over, William Ruto, they say last in, first out. He has to be the first one to go to jail. They have to be, these people must go to jail, and we must recover, including those connivers in the churches. Enough is enough. Honestly, good people, let's begin to mobilize. Let's begin planning. Planning to rescue our country is not a crime. Let them arrest us. Let the people come out. And now, our Jericho moment is here. Because I don't believe that they are Christians, that they are the Christians they purport to be. Sorry, I am not supposed to judge, but mutawajua kwa matendo yao. Biblia inatuambia haya matendo yao sio ya kiungu, sio ya mbinguni, sio ya viongozi ambao ni wacha Mungu, ambao walipakwa mafuta na Mungu. I drop mic.
Thank you so much, Daktari, and we really appreciate you. As the pressure point, I know These are the plans that we have, and we are doing as much as we can. Join the team, follow each other always, and make sure this conversation go ahead. We say that every Sunday we're here, but during the week we are doing a lot of the ground, and we make sure. And whatever you're doing, a little, do you do it to uh, bring better governance in future? What are you doing? That's the question. So that's why pressure point is here, and we are saying this. The pressure point will be here as long as we can, as long as we live until Christ come back or whoever we believe in. I see Profogol, I see Ruben Kigame, I see many people are joining. I see Godfather, and many people are joining. Thank you so much, guys, for joining this conversation at this moment. Omondi, I see you. Mark, I want to give you a mic, but before then, KOT, you carry up your hand, then Mark, then I go this way, then I give Ruben Kigame, then Prof. Prof, thank you so much for joining. KOT, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Hillary. I
Very
hope you
well,
can hear
bro.
me. Just confirm
Unaendeleaje?
kindly. Mimi niko salama bana. Nimesema wacha niongee haraka hapa kiasi before I leave because mi niko Kimilili bana. Huko kuna nyesha kidogo, I think ni baraka
Amina.
za Mungu. And so me honestly, I'm so happy, especially for what has happened today in Gusii Stadium and at Roysambu. I really wish to be with you guys because mimi at some point kuna vitu huwa zinanitrigger. When I left Nairobi on Friday, I was like, how will Sunday look like? Because I really anticipated to be part of that team. Mimi saizi I feel like I'm a failure, but siwezi sema hivyo because you guys have done a very very good job, especially those who have been on the ground. So mimi nilisema let me preach water and drink water. Currently in Kimilili, I've been doing this almost every weekend, and every Monday I go back to Nairobi, and Friday come back here. So guys, I think for the political realignment, mimi nimekuwa kelele, sijakuwa nasikia vitu mnaongea, but what we are seeing now, we seeing our enemies regrouping. The other day you saw the likes of Ruto, Raila, they were together. Yeah, na ni kitu tulikuwa tunajua what was really happening. So you find out that even as much as we have other enemies, but these two guys and what they are realigning is the first political enemy, and now we need to crush that political move as fast as possible because hawa ni watu wamekuwa wanafanya vitu zenye sisi wenyewe pia those things that whatever they are doing they do affect us negatively, and you guys have seen what is happening. So me as a young person, I just want to encourage you guys that saizi is not even that time for political realignment. For you as a young person, if you want change, then just be the change you want in this country. Just take that bold move. Bana, wewe kusema you are going for a certain political seat to ensure that reforms zimekam. Just do it because there is nobody who will do it for us. Honestly. Hawa watu bana, mimi nimeona vitu zenye zinafanyika. The other day unasikia kama huku kwetu natembea na Wetangula. Yeah, wana on these social media platforms or on political platforms, they're against each other. But whenever these guys meet, hata huwezi jua who is the enemy. Hata huwezi sema ati nafaa kukutana wapigane. But you can just see the body language from the two. You find out that these people are still working together, honestly. So for us, the young people, mimi naweza waambia tu, let us not just lament, tuongee, alafu tujipatie sijui timeline 20 sijui something we do this and that. It's time to begin as early as possible. Yeah, because if you want change, there is nobody who will bring that change to you. Kama unataka change pale Mwingi, kama unataka change pale Mombasa, Nairobi, it's you to go for that. Na usiseme ati sijui next week ama next month. Just start as early as possible because sisi tunaongeanga hapa social media, and this social media probably will reach at least 5 million people. We still have 45 million people who don't access these platforms, and they need to hear this. They need to see what is really happening on the ground. Yeah, even as much as tunasema hatutaki siasa kanisa, hatutaki siasa kwa matanga, but we need to go there and explain to these people because that hiyo ni gathering already. Let us go there, tell them what is really happening, what we are facing, after telling them, now let us come up with the solutions. Tukikam up na hizo solutions tuambie, now we want to do this and this, it will become so easy for us. But the moment now we bank on social media platforms, mimi napenda social media, but I came to realize that on social media hata sasa nikifanya post tumepost nitapata only have probably 10,000 impressions. Yeah, my post may reach to 10,000 people. Now watu si ati wako Kenya wote, kuna wengine wako Uganda, Tanzania, even in the Europe, and we still now have that bulk population of almost 50 million. So for us to reach out to these people, we need to go to the ground, honestly. Let us go there. Hii kitu tunafanya hapa on platform, let us now do it practically on the ground to ensure that we explain to these people what is happening. Kama leo nimekuwa hapa na maboys wangu and I've been telling them bana, oh, imagine Raila leo hajapewa platform Kisii Stadium, and they're like, oh, is it true? Mimi nikawafungulia hapa X platform, nikapata videos, nikaonyesha. Nimewambia bana maboys wa mama kwa Occupy leo Jesus winners, because William Ruto took our 20 million from our public coffers and he gave it to Jesus winners, and they're like, they are not aware of that. Yeah. So you find out that it's not everybody who accesses this social media platform. Wengine maybe wako Facebook, wengine wako TikTok, huku X inakuanga kidogo sana, but I know most of us tunakuanga hapa. So we as the young people, I think without kufanya ile repetition, I think it's time now to ensure that we go to the ground. Now maybe I'm speaking from the ground. Now go ground, it depends with how you talk to people. Najua kuna watu wenye washakuwa compromised already, but the moment we engage these people, we give them the way forward. We talk to them, explain to them, even show them evidence what is really happening. We all human beings. Kuna mtu atakuelewa. So you young people, Hillary na uko hapa, just talk to these guys. Ongea nao bana, wakuja huku ground bana, tusaidiane. Mimi siku hizi natembea huku peke yangu, hata nashangaa bana, nikishikwa hakuna mtu atajua. Sasa hizi ningekuwa nimeshikwa leo huku Kimilili, there is nobody who will know that. But it's now time to ensure that what we are talking on social media, what we are planning, we now do it practically. Here I can assure you that in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll have transformed this country mahali tumekuwa saizi to a step ahead. If we can do it even 20% from where we are today, then honestly, the future generation, they'll appreciate that our Gen Zs, Gen X, even the millennials, they try their best. So our Gen Alpha pia wakikuja, yeah, kama kuna vitu zenye hatutaondoa, they will come and they will provide that solution. So mimi sina mambo mengi. I just want to thank you guys, especially those who are supporting me psychologically. Your nice comments, man. Niambia bana, keep it, like ensure that you do it harder. I just appreciate you guys. Otherwise, thank you so much, Hillary, for this platform. Mimi niko hapa, wacha niwasikize, but that's
Thank you
what I
so
want
much,
to share.
KT, and we really appreciate your presence, man. The work that you're doing, we're really supporting that. And I want to show you the pressure point is doing that much more than what we're doing in the media. We have many young people on the ground that going outside there every day. And that's the way to go. Those who cannot join the social media, they must have this message. And that's what we're doing at the pressure point team. We are trying to do that all the time. And when you check our values, you check our major focus is on that. We see you, Prof. Kibwana, I see you. But let's see, Mark, your hand has been up for several times. But before that, Pressure Point, you want to read some comments? Okay. I think is away with the mic. Mark, go ahead before we read the comments. I see so many comments coming in. Yes, you can share your comments.
Yes,
Yes, you can read some few
yes,
before Mark come in.
yes. We can read some comments. I can see Kenyans are really participating and they are sharing their ideas. This is so good. So we have the vibrant voice says you can use an enemy to fight an enemy. Suggest a strategic approach where you leverage one opposing force to counter or weaken another. Ruto used Raila to counter the force of Gen Z. Kenya's political landscape is shifting. Kenyans demand leaders who serve, not divide. The era of tribal kingpins is fading. Integrity, accountability, and issue-based politics must define the future. Align with the people who or history will render you obsolete.
All right.
We also
Yeah,
have
the last one.
the third person, Mr. T, says we must dump and forget all these political conmen and forge our way out and forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pressure Point, for that, and we really appreciate. Yes, follow each other, guys, so that you can keep the conversation going. I see many requests are coming in, so when you have a mic, also consider other people who want to give their advice or what they're thinking of this political element. Mark, go ahead, and then Honorable Kigame, then Professor Gola. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to speak over here. I feel so good hearing all of you speaking, and hearing all of you expressing your anger. That is the right thing to do. KOT, keep the fire burning. That's the way it should be. Dr. Milton, I think I really appreciate what you're saying, and I take it in, and I know that that kind of vigor and anger is going to be transformed and be translated in something that is important for us. First of all, I want to say that I am a spiritual leader. I am a religious leader. And it hurts me. It hurts me really deeply to hear people speak so passionately on what religion is doing to the political scene in Kenya. Actually, I take it personally, and I take it very, very strongly to hear that. Secondly, I want to say that it's a good thing. It's a good thing to hear that what is happening right now makes people want to come to these, religious spaces to say exactly what they feel that the religious people are doing, which is not right. And I think that's a point that need to be taken in and to be appreciated. I really appreciate you guys for deciding that this is the right thing to do and the right time to get involved. I want to just ask you that may we continue occupying this space, not only now that something bad is happening, but let us also continue occupying these spaces even in future, so that we are able to point these things out before they come out, and be an issue that we cannot hold anymore. I wish that those places had people who could say that no, we don't want this person to come here and give us money that we suspect is not rightfully gotten. We need to stop them and call on people who we know are going to give out genuinely and from their hearts. So I want to call us out to do those things. Secondly, I want to say that, you know what? Leadership is a reflection of the electorate. And now, as these people are reorganizing and realigning, I think it is our time also to start reorganizing and realigning and look for leaders who we know for sure will be representing our interests. And when they are elected up there, they are going to do exactly what is good for us. And I think this is a time also to reflect and to call ourselves back and ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? Because always we've always had a chance to elect the right people, but something somewhere just goes wrong. I remember in the last election there were people like Ruben Kagame who offered themselves to be elected, but I just don't know what happened that we ended up electing the guys that we have. I remember people like at one point we had people like Miguna, though some of us may not like him, but we know that Miguna was going to present us with the best leadership that we had. He was the only, I'm not campaigning for him here. I'm just saying because he's not running anymore. So I think I'm allowed to say what he stood for. He was among the only leaders who I saw offered a document to tell us what he was going to do for us. But what did we do? We could not, we could not elect him. Somehow we have a way of electing the bad leaders. And I want just to call us lastly as I land that let us now stand up and look for people who we know are going to represent us and to represent our interests. Let us own these people by supporting their campaigns. Let us own these people by being around them always, so that when time comes, we will have a leader whom we can call to order. But if we continue getting the leaders who, entice us with their money, it means that when they get elected, we cannot call them to order because we do not own them. They ended up owning us. So I just want to tell us that this is the time that we too need to start realigning ourselves. 2027 is not too far. People like Ruben Kagame, if they call us out and tell us that they want us to support them, this is the time that we can say that actually these are the people that feels how we feel down here. And we can elect them and we can push them forward and we can support them and we can vote for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marco Diamo. I really appreciate your zeal. And you can hear your voice is really presenting that. Robert Kugame, I see you've been here for a while. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Hillary. How is
Yeah,
Canada?
Canada as well. It's cold, but now the sun is coming out. Right.
Yeah, in case you hear some noise, it's been raining and we thank God for the rains. I'm on the road and so it's a bit noisy. So I'll be as brief as I
Thank
can,
you, sir.
but also so we can give other people a chance to speak. Um, I'll make three comments and then give you a way forward for how we can organize and deliver this country. So the first thing is I would like to say the realignment that is taking place is very good for us because people are showing their true colors and coming together. So Raila and Ruto are finally together. That's a good thing so that we can trash them together. And I think we need to get ready to dump them so that, there is no rising for them again. Someone gave me a very good picture. He says this was in a spiritual sense. When God forgives your sins, He takes them away and then He throws them in the deepest part of the ocean and then posts a sign there, no fishing. So I think that's what we should also do. Tie a stone around the two of them, dump them into the deepest sea of forgetfulness, and then post a big sign, no fishing. They should never come up again to deceive the people of Kenya. And not just those two. I think anyone who wants to bring to us people that have been in government, people that have been exploiting us, even those need to be dumped in the deepest part of forgetfulness. And we post a sign again, no fishing. I think time has come for us to do that. And while on that point of realignment, I would want to say everything that took place on Friday is really the uh, the finalization of a process that started several years ago. We know about the BBI that was going to be forced on people. Then it didn't work. And then they tried to sneak it back in recently through NADCO, the so called broad based government. And I want to say, without any shadow of contradiction, anyone who has been pushing NADCO to us, anyone who has been saying broad based government should be trashed as well. We need to trash them forever. And don't align yourselves around people who want to expand government. So let them align and let us trash them forever and forever. Now, the second thing I wanted to say is if we listen to the voices on the ground, I think we are hearing every voice except the Gen Z voice. And so I must say, for example, I was in Nakuru today, and so I had Gen Zs that were speaking today and saying that, they do not want their parents to vote at all. They do not want their parents to vote. They want to vote because their fear is that their parents will vote back the old system. And so I do want to say that we need to listen to the ground and realize that the Gen Zs are ready to vote. And so we need to encourage them to get IDs. We need to encourage them to register when the time comes. And for that matter, I think civic education is important. KOT, I'm very proud of you. And I promise you, pretty soon I'm going to join you in Kimilili so I can tell people about you and your consistency. Please keep going. The third thing I want to say is this, that we can keep talking and saying, we need to, we need to, we need to. This we need to syndrome never moves anything. We need to talk. We need to meet. We need to contribute. We need to, we need to. This needs to graduate to action. And so I think we need to stop talking altogether. I remember in the late 80s when I was finishing university, my undergrad, there was a group of evangelists that used to go out to preach. And they would say, please come with us, join us, let's go together. And people would tell them, I will be with you in spirit. I will be with you in spirit. And so one time the chair of that committee stood in the Christian Union and said, we've been going for these missions with too many spirits. Now we need some bodies. And I must say, I have had a lot of people tell me, Ruben Kigame, please go for it. We like your agenda and so on. You need to be supported. You need to be supported. So the time for supporting me has come. We have been organizing, and since 2022, many of you don't know the story, but that's the past. We will leave it behind. When I was being blocked from running, I wish most of you would have spoken on my behalf, but that's gone. So I'm building on the fact that most of you already know I stood, and I would like to do it again. It's just that I've not made the official declaration, but it's coming soon. Once my party, singles me out as their candidate, then I'll come out, strongly. But nothing stops any one of you from funding my presidential ambition. And this is where I want to land by saying, how do you actually participate in supporting Ruben Kigame? The first thing you do is please register in my party. The party that I'm running with is called Justice and Freedom Party, JFP. And our slogan is revolving around Utu, Haki na Ukweli. We want to focus on human dignity. We want to focus on justice, and we want to focus on truth. This country is full of lies. And so if you can please sign up, just go to *509#, resign from all these parties they're forcing you into, and then sign up for Justice and Freedom Party, which is 077. Those of you that are Gen Zs, or those of you that want to run on a value-based platform, we have room. And even for those who want to run in the coming by-elections, we have room for you. So inbox me and let's talk. Let's not say we don't have a party. Justice and Freedom Party is ready for you. Please sign up and even vie on it. Condition, you want value-based leadership, character-driven leadership. That is what I'm pushing. And that's what my team is pushing. And then some of you, are thinking that, the only way to beat these guys at their game is to support our own candidates. Well, I'm ready to be supported. So DM if you want to. And I will say that we do have a pay bill that you can contribute to. We are not ashamed of it. We are ready now. It's 827723. 827723, and for the account name, just write 2027. We hope it's sooner, but that's our catchphrase, 2027. And then for those of you that are in the diaspora, in the spring, God willing, I'll be in the US. Let's meet together and have chai and talk about the diaspora agenda, talk about participation in elections, and let's also begin to raise funds. In fact, I would challenge those of you, Brother Milton and the rest of you, get together, put together some few dollars, $10, $5, $20, like that. And Ndugu Hillary in Canada, naomba mtuchangie, tuanze kazi. We need to be visible on the ground. We cannot do it without your support. And in case you want to send by any other way, MoneyGram or, Wave or whatever, just DM. We will guide you on how we can do that. I'll be coming later to Europe later in the year. So those of you in the Schengen region and those in Britain and so on, get ready. I'm coming in the fall, God willing. Let's get this thing done. I mean, done and dusted. So, I've taken the step to step forward and be counted. It's not easy. It's not like I lack a job. It's dangerous. But we have burnt our bridges and we're ready to move. Please, please support us. Those of you in Kenya, you have 2 or 3 cars. Lete moja tufanyie kazi. You have a printing business. You can give us discounts on the prints. Print some t-shirts for us. Do something. Those of you that can contribute to policy, we are ready for you. The DM, let's talk. You can contribute in education, in health, in agriculture, foreign policy. This is the time for professionals to join us and contribute. And lastly, if you can do civic education, begin by speaking hope to the many hopeless Kenyans, because they are not without an option. We have an authentic option that we are ready to offer the country. So tell them hawako peke yao, tuko. Sell our name. Go to vernacular stations. Say it in their mother tongue. That Kigame, Ogola, Omtata, we are all here ready to give an alternative, authentic leadership. And so let's go for it. Fabish, let's go to the ground and let's talk to these people. And those of you that have been following my posts and so on, retweet, follow. Let's make this thing big. I've been speaking so much. It's time for you to speak for me. So let's do it. Let's do it. It can be done. As they group, let us regroup ourselves and, push the authentic alternative. So I close by saying it's no longer we need to. Let's do it now. And God bless you and God bless Kenya.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, and we really appreciate that you come out boldly and you ask Kenyans. You heard what Kigame is doing, and he's my friend. He's my personal friend. We have been talking and everything, and for sure, the pressure point is looking forward for the leaders that can lead the country in the right way. So I'm sure these people are hearing what you're saying, and we reach out. We reach out all the time, and his DM is always open. Reach to him, have conversation, and those are the things that we want. Yes, Prof. Gola, I see Prof. Kibwana also is here, but Fred, go ahead. Pole sana Tienze, after Prof, I'll give you time. Prof, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hillary. Thank you very much, Ruben Kigame. I listened to you. Thank you very much, Fabish. I also listened to you. I listened to you carefully. We are in several groups together. Yeah, the pressure point is there. We have a camp that calls themselves Wamunyoro, or if you like, whatever name. For me, I call them 7 gangsters who met to nominate or with a view to bring out one of the gangster whom other gangsters will support to try to unearth the chief gangster, which means that Kenyans are still left with one option: to elect a gangster government. That's why I launched a movement called Alternative Leadership Initiative. My brother Ruben Kigame, I invited your party leader. Of course, he didn't come to the launch because some Kenyans are still having this idea that if you come to my event, then you make me bigger. But maybe you don't. Because when you come, you just make the movement bigger. You don't make me bigger. It's not about me. It's not about any individual. It's about us. So with this point, Kenyans, as you continue discussing here, if we do not create that alternative leadership that we mean to create, we will only be voting for 2 gangsters. Remember 2022, we voted William Ruto versus Raila Odinga, and now they are together, so we didn't actually vote. So now they have added 7.1 million votes plus 6.9 million votes, so they have 14 million votes. So whether you voted on either side, your vote was, we could have just stayed home. Even with one vote, they could be president still as they are now. So there was no difference. And if we do not make a difference now, for sure, they are going to remain with those two options. And I can tell you, there is no time. So those of you who are still saying we are still studying the situation, there is no time. You can wait and say we are still going through a process. There is no time. Even for Paul Kagame, for Ruben Kagame, the faster you guys come up with a candidate in your party, the better. Because I was on the ground, I was in Karatina yesterday, I was in Thika talking to traders. Even problem analysis, they don't want to. They'll tell you sasa ni nani. Now, kama wanampenda, they will like him. If they don't like him, they tell you, that one we are still thinking. So the question here is, what do you sell in politics? You sell the person. Who is that person? Is the person who can answer the questions Kenyans are looking for. And the Kenyan questions have not been answered by the signing of this thing that took place in KCC. Neither has it been answered by people revamping and renaming political parties that they should actually be able to run. And also, it's not good to oppose or even try to wish away other political leaders, especially if they're in the opposition, but still there is no leadership in those other formations which we have seen in the recent past. So for me, I was not here to talk much, but I'm just here to tell you that we still need that alternative leadership. And as Ruben Kagame has said, we have sacrificed. When I went on TV and said William Ruto is going to destroy the economy before he became president, we lost jobs. We've never been able to get our jobs back, even if we are qualified. So some people see as, oh, we are here, we are selfish. If I'm selfish now, I can enter this government. They call, they want, they offer. But unfortunately, we are not interested. We just want to see a country that is transformed, the country that can move forward. And as we speak now, for me, it's very clear that we need to offer, in the book I've written, we need to offer welfare state. Taifa ya Ustawi. Taifa ya Ustawi is the welfare state, of course, where livelihoods are guaranteed, comforts are there, and we can actually guarantee development for Kenyans, for the current generation, the next generation, and the future generations. So once we agree on those fundamentals, we ask the question, who can you trust with such kind of a vision? Because last time, we trusted the what from Kenya Kwanza, which was bottom up, but we never really did due diligence on who. So even if the view is very good, once the who is wrong, it doesn't matter what you believe in. So the who question, I'm asking people here, start doing due diligence from nursery school. Who is this man, Fred Ogola? In primary school, where did he go? But did he attend class? Was he the most absent one in class? Those things are very important. In China, before you belong to the Communist Party, they check up to your nursery school record. Before you get a loan in Agricultural Bank of China, you get every view from the ground. Do you beat your wife? Are you a wife beater? Do you drink and drive? Those simple things you take for granted. Someone who beats the wife are unlikely to repay a loan because they're going to fight at home, and then there are in other issues they cannot pay a loan. So they are tried and tested. We are at the stage of serious due diligence. You can throw your word, you can say, I believe in this, but we must pass the test of due diligence because there are some non-negotiables. We have to agree. Anybody with integrity issue, even if it's as small as it can get, let us not risk that one. If you don't pass integrity test like beauty contest, if you go for a beauty contest, you have to have a certain minimum height. If you don't have it, unfortunately, you can't make it. Just like if you want to go even for Mr. Kenya and the rest. Let us go and look at the basic things that you cannot negotiate about. Once those are done, it's a process like Ruben has said. Let us also look for people who can unite people, because some people don't want unity. Some people just have an agenda. And if you're not with the agenda, if you don't want to say I'm supporting you, then you become enemies. Let us focus on people selflessly want a solution. And I want to urge you here. For us, we have agreed in our movement called J25 that our picking of the candidate will be picked by the people. Because once you go to do a boardroom negotiation, you have actually given the people a candidate, and that candidate does not belong to them. We are working on a clear method that anybody joining that movement must go through a democratic process to be picked as the candidate for the people. And if we cannot be able to obey democracy at the party nomination, how will we obey democracy at the national level when now you are a candidate? So we are very clear about our roadmap. We currently today, we held a very long meeting today, physical meeting. We're going to have an unveiling of our movement in April, where we have now 168 aspirants. KOT is one of the aspirants in that same group where we are. And we believe that direction is going to go further. People agreed on very fundamental things, and we are moving forward. So, of course, everybody needs support, like Ruben Kigame says. We also need support, of course. I can also say we also have a paybill number. We also have a group we work with. So again, if you want to support that initiative, reach out to us. We are mobilizing resources, but also we are working on the ground. So whichever works for you, the better. So if anybody has any interest on how they can support this movement, reach out to me, DM me. I'll be able to give you the details, how you can reach out. But I can tell you, we have captured the spirit of the young people on J25, June 25th movement. It's a movement that everybody resonates with. I also want to urge Ruben Kigame that should he believe in this unity thing, he can just come and join that June J25. It is nothing to do with Gen Z, that's why I call it J25. It's the day all Kenyans woke up and said, we don't want this kind of government. So if you are worth your salt, don't run in just a party, come to a coalition. No one can win through one political party. That coalition will have, now we have 4 political parties. You can join it as one of the party members. You will be a principal in that party. And then people go through a serious primaries because we don't want to say that so and so should be the candidate. But for now, we have to be in that movement. So I invite you, I encourage you that if you are selfless enough, ask your party leader, let you guys join the party. You'll get a chance and a platform to contest. And if you win the primaries for J25, I'm sure you'll win the presidency. And should you be scared of joining that J25, then maybe you are scared of winning William Ruto, because there will be free and fair election in the J25. But the one for William Ruto must be like military operation. We must ensure we do not play with it. I'll end my statement by saying that what we are going to expect after the nonsense which was signed in ICC, in KICC, is that someone will be given a budget to run throughout the country. Thinking is consulting people that there are many. So Kenyans should come and actually make a statement against it and say this is a sham, this is a joke. So that budget will be there. People come to government. There are a lot of money gonna be chewed because this guy doesn't care about what Kenyans feel. They just care about themselves. And for now, let me end there. Thank you very much, team, for listening. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Let us remain one, because if we are with Kenyans, then for sure we are with God and no one can be against us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for joining and giving direction. I hear what you're saying. Coming together is very important. I know all this formation and everything, but one goal, we have only one goal, to have a better government in future. So we are requesting those people who are forming these parties and everything. We want you to sit down, agree, give the way forward. Because if you go alone, the way you said it, Prof, very clearly, you cannot manage, and then at the end of the day our cry will still continue. But I want to tell you for sure, pressure is too much, and we're pushing hard, and the teams are there pushing a lot of things. that soon will reveal them. You'll see what is been happening on the ground and everything. But we're trying to push the pressure point, and this is just as a name. But we have to put pressure in everything that we do. And Nyanze, before Professor Kivuta, uh, go ahead, Kenze. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Chenze. That's how you
Oh,
pronounce it.
Kenze.
Kialo. Yeah.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Nimesikia
Thank
sasa.
you so much for the opportunity. And I'm really loving the discussions here. And I hear my professors as they give their insights, which are very valuable. I also hear KOT when he talks about us going to the ground and speaking to this youth. I'm actually in a project where we are working with the youth, and we were just going around collecting their insights. And what we got was they know that the leadership is bad, but the what do we do? Like they sound so helpless, like after the Gen Z movement. And then what? Like what did we achieve? And how would we have done it better? And so, just like KOT is going round to the ground and speaking to the youth, we are taking a different angle where we want to engage them in platforms where they are most of the times. TikTok, and of course their sentiments was that X ni awasomi. There's a lot of English going around and we cannot really relate. So we are going to TikTok. And what we're actually doing is, having the discussions that we are having here in a language they can understand. We are toning down the conversation for them to actually feel included. And the feedback we are getting is actually very amazing. And on Tuesday, we are going to also have the same discussion on TikTok, just to understand what they're doing, with evidence in their advocacy work. And you will hear a lot of helplessness, like, yeah. And such ways they are able to impact as we wait for 2027 and as we are reorganizing for 2027 in our own little ways. How are we empowering the youth to actually champion for change in spaces where they are affected? And so we have not achieved the goal with this bursary thing, but at least it has been put on hold. And we see that there's actually feedback from the relevant authorities. And we are actually just working on so many other petitions with the youth. And it is just because of these conversations that we are having with them at a level they can understand. That said, I like the unity bit because clearly we cannot individually. And so as the political, let me call them champions, are reorganizing and strategizing on what to do 2027 and the likes, the unity bit is something we cannot ignore. And so just to, if you have any youth, share the word that they should join the TikTok discussion. It's a community we are building now, and we are getting a lot of very good insights from the youth. So thank you so much for having me. I'll be listening to the other speakers. Thanks.
I like what you're saying. Let us DM and see, because you're doing research on the data. I like that, and those are the things that we need as pressure point team. So I'll keep on contacting you, and we see how best we can work together with the research that you're doing, and that one will help us this conversation to make meaning when we're here. I see Prof dropped. Prof, we are trying to get you back. Uh, as we wait that. Prof, are you here now? Kibuta? Mheshimiwa Kivuta Kibwana. Let me get John Kerry. Go ahead. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hillary. And I've been following the discussion, and I must say that I'm impressed. I am one of you guys. I also vied for Member of Parliament in 2022 in Joro constituency. And hello, can you hear me?
There's a mix. What? Mheshimiwa Kibwana, can you hear me now? Mheshimiwa.
Hillary, someone was speaking. I don't know if you are hearing him.
Yes, I
Chair
was
was speaking.
hearing, but also
Okay.
Prof was
Okay.
talking. Prof, are you here now? I think you still have issues with the mic.
Forward to throughout the revolution and what was going on from last year. So what I agree is that as or the new generation, and by this I do not necessarily mean the Gen Z or the young people, I mean the Gen Z and everybody else who subscribe to the ideology that we need new leadership, we need better leadership in this country. So yeah, and we've gone ahead to try and see how we can mobilize young people, especially those that will be vying, and the new generation leaders, say people like Ruben Kigame, Kivutha Kibwana, and everybody else who will be vying for a position in 2027, who we subscribe to the same idea, like the others are grouping. As someone else has said, we need to group. And it is my belief that once we group properly as the leaders of the new generation, then we'll be able to give direction to our members, or to those to the young people who are eagerly waiting to see if there is any leadership that will come from ourselves, because it appears like the usual politicians are the ones who are giving the way forward. And we've planned for a meeting on 28th of March at Fungamano, where we intend to, of course, convene a meeting for every person that will be vying, new generation, uh, someone with a new generation mindset, everybody that will be vying, so that we ask ourselves, how do we approach 2027? Because if we go divided, I'm happy to hear that there are several parties that are there. Ruben Kigame has one, Professor Fred has one, and so many other people have their own parties. But there are so many young people who will be vying who are not in any of those parties. And those people are influential in their way. I normally tell people that never ever look down on someone who says that they'll vie, because if they are going to get, even if they're not going to succeed, but get at least 500 votes, if you combine all of those votes, say for example 150 people vied, and then everybody got 500 or 1000 votes, those are so many votes to make a difference. So how do we bring all of these people together, and of course forge the way forward together? So we've arranged for that meeting, and I understand that Fabish had mentioned something of the sort, and I would like to invite all of us. It has not been organized by any party. It has not been organized by, by those people like Ruto. It is purely a young people agenda, or the new generation agenda, where we want to meet, converge, and ask ourselves, how do we come together as leaders and give direction to our members or those who follow us. So I welcome even those that are vying for presidency, from Ruben Kigame and everybody else who will be vying for presidency, every other young person who will be vying from the MCA seat, all of them. We are targeting aspirants from across the country, so that we give direction to our members, and as leaders, of course, fashion our way or our path together. It doesn't matter which party you come from, but we have a tribe called new generation, not necessarily a Gen Z, but new generation, which wants change. So if we can agree as the new generation that this is the path that you are going to walk in, regardless of which party you come from. For example, Professor Fred, we are not going to tell him to come from his party, or tell someone like Ruben Kigame to come from his party, but we can agree on some things. We agree that we need change. We agree that there's something that is missing in this country. If we can come together, all those people that will be vying for MCAs that you do not know about, that are not in your parties, all those people that will be vying for members of a National Assembly, you do not know, they are not in your parties. Then if you can convince them, if we can come together, then you can imagine how many people will be campaigning for you. Ruben Kigame, should you be the favorite of the Gen Zs, you can imagine how many people will be campaigning for you. That will make it easy for us to come up with a wave that will actually shake the existing cocoons of people who just come up together to plan how to plunder and of course grab from Kenyans. That's what I had to say. Thank you so much, Hillary, for the mic.
Thank you so much, John Kerry. We really appreciate you. Honorable Kibwana, can you hear us now?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
thank you so
can,
much, Prof, for
Hillary.
joining. Yeah. Prof,
Would you like me to say something,
yes, go
Hillary?
ahead. Go ahead, Prof.
Oh, thank you very much. And again, I've been having problems. I don't know, maybe somebody's marking me so that I don't talk, but that's not big. I think I'm really very happy, Hillary, with this conversation and pressure point, this conversation that is going on, very rich, and a conversation into the future. I think first of all, what has not let me not use the word disappointed me, but what is really very revealing is after this MOU document that we saw, which talked about that abductions, police brutality, all those things are bad. And the in the preamble that was very clearly stated, even in the 10 points, that this has to be something of the past. Then today, it is repeated, so that whoever wrote the MOU forgot that they had written it, and they repeat the very things that are in that MOU, and therefore it's even any small legitimacy that it could have begins to be eroded at the very beginning, so that even citizens that child that there's tear gas and there's all that kind of commotion. So it means that whatever it is that these guys say uh, should not be accepted or received as if it is the truth. It is just something written to placate people and for them to think they can buy time to do this radical thing that they are so bent on doing. But let me also, after that point, let me also, Hilary, say that just reacting a little to Professor Ogola, to Kiarie, to all the people who are making, let me call them sub movements, to necessarily to invite people to join a particular movement, but to call all those people with those movements, and to call all the people who we identify as of a progressive nature, they get cold. You call the Kigames, the Mukisas, the Mothers, the Omtatas, the Onyonkas, Golas. Mimi naweza kuwa mtu wa mkono. All those people plus now the leadership of the Gen Z, because the leadership is those people call, know, respect. If therefore all these people are called together, now something large, so that now they co-create together, so that it is not to join it. That's one approach. But another approach is no, the people who have been, who have a positive agenda, then they are called together, so that progressive group which was fighting for the constitution, which was fighting for positive things like the Gen Zs, first of all they congregate. When they congregate, then there is a movement. And even those positive political parties that relate to that movement become part of it, so that eventually, when you are standing in any of them, you are part of that particular movement. And I keep on thinking and maybe saying that the bedrock of that movement must be the young people, the Gen Zs. Indeed, I wish their leadership was able to call to order all these other progressive people, including Akena, Njuki, all those progressive people. They can call them and tell them that there is no time. We are getting late, and we need to clean house, so that Kenyans now can see this other group and the agenda that it stands for, so that we move from tribe to agenda, because a lot of current leaders are still maintaining us in terms of tribe. And I think if that happens, so that now we create the agenda, what is this new Kenya? And I think there are elders who can be relied upon to be able to, they don't necessarily need any political opposition, but they can help in terms of getting people together. And I think, for example, Mutunga has not shied away from that. And I forgot to say also Maraga in the, in the Kigame Mukisa, because he has also said that, is interested. Now, the one thing that I think to kind of also say, Hillary, is that person, that I think is not the correct thing, perhaps to say, because going forward it has to be group leadership. This business of you give one person the power before you give them what can do. Now they have to get to their group leadership, and that's why even beginning to have the group early on, so that people gel, so that people work together. I think that's the correct thing, because otherwise, if we prioritize, we will now choose one person. We will choose a group, and the president, the deputy president, whoever, they'll be first among equal, and there should be a group which also they listen to, and they obey what this collective leadership is talking about. And finally, so that I can land, NADCO is a poisoned chalice. I repeat, NADCO is a poisoned chalice, because even Rigji, SKM, Wamalwa, and so on, because